Are we live? Are we live? Okay, it looks like we are live. Uh, things are a little bit different today because Zoom was not working. So I am trying. Oh, hello, Anthony. I am trying YouTube live streaming directly. So that this might be a little bit of a challenge. Let's see if I can take the chat and pop it out so I can read it a little bit better. Yes, I can. So let's say we move this over to here. That means I can have two screens instead of having all three. I do have a subscriber only mode on. So, but yeah, this is going to be a definitely interesting. The things are moved around a little bit. So that's interesting. It's usually a good idea to have different options when live streaming, because if something doesn't work, you can turn around and do something differently. I normally use Zoom because that's what I was using when I was working with Jim Kello over at Nutrex Modeling. So it's one of those things. It was something I was familiar with, so that's the way I went. I am starting to think of maybe using other styles of live streaming and all that. But not quite sure which one to dive into at this point. But Zoom is more designed for conferencing, not necessarily live streaming. So I am sort of leaning towards on trying to find out what that is. One thing I like about the studio. All right, let me move the microphone so it's actually pointing towards me. Is that it actually has a little bar on the bottom saying that, hey, this is what the strength of the microphone is. So that's one thing that Zoom does not have. There's a way to test your microphone that has the same monitoring thing on it, but it's not a live monitoring setup. So for all the, I would have to say, for all the people who do YouTubing stuff and all that, leave your thoughts on what system that you use and what's the best, what you think is the best, what you think is, I would have to say the top three. I do have an HP system, so anything that's strictly an Apple product I cannot use. So that's for that. Now I gotta find out where. All right, find out which. I don't have access to this feature. What is the feature? If that's so, I can. Don't have access. Don't have access. Manage. Okay, clicking on it does nothing. But for those who are popping on, I am using YouTube Studio instead of my normal Zoom because Zoom, for some reason, didn't want to connect to YouTube. So that is why I'm not, and I have an odd feeling I am not able to change cameras. Oh, hello there, Wigwag. Thank you for coming in. All right. Yeah, I have a tendency to see StreamYard, Streamlabs, and OBS everywhere. So, but I guess there's a different. OBS is Open Broadcasting System, which I guess there's some issues with a proprietary setup that uses the same acronym, so it can get very confusing and not as good as the other. All right, let's see. Expand menu. Webcam. I do not have access to the webcam. So apparently I cannot change cameras, which is that's a downside. So I guess I'll be talking a lot tonight. But I from the stuff that I have been doing, Nutrex Modeling does have a call what's my build. It's basically where you show off, hey, this is what I'm doing. So okay, 2 thumbs up, thank you. 3 are watching, so I'm assuming I would assume it's me, myself, and I, but I would also assume that the other extra 2 people are Wigwag and Anthony Dodge. So thank you too for being sort of like you seem to be regulars, so thank you. But apparently I'm not able to change webcams. I guess that I'm assuming that's maybe a premium thing now. Yeah, I don't have access to this feature. Huh. Alright, why do I not have access to this feature? Customization of that. This is sort of like after things, I guess, because it doesn't help. So, all right, well, we're just gonna have to wing it and just talk about things today, which, well, is okay because I'm sort of towards the end of the 3 dioramas that I had, and I'm sort of to the point of going like, yeah, I'm almost done with them. Right now, it's mostly adding all the small little details that everything has. Mason Dixon, thank you for coming. I would have to say maybe this. Well, the thing is that normally I have 3 screens going on, and now that I have 2, I can put the chat on the big screen so I can actually see it. But I might have to. Well, seeing as the way I have Zoom set up, I actually have it set up for 2 screens. So I might have to turn around and change that a little bit. Have it as 1 screen, possibly here, have the YouTube channel here, and then have the chat over here. That's a possibility if I'm able to get Zoom working again. But I am, as I said before, I am looking for other broadcasting setups. Let's see. All right, we'll go that way. And then we'll go that way. And another thing is with OBS that could be, since that's a acronym, it could be a lot of different things. But, comes up as a first thing of open broadcaster software. Okay. All right. So I guess I'll look into that later on. But Mason Dixon is basically right now, I'm not able to use Zoom. And so I'm on YouTube Studio, and it doesn't give me access to my other webcams. So there's nothing there. Or it be, you'd be seeing the side of my head working like, maybe not even in the frame. So I guess we won't go that direction. But I am thinking on starting new dioramas. Um, in fact, I do have uh, the basis for them, ready to rock and roll. But also, I'm also trying to figure out what things I could. Is YouTube Studio new? I don't believe so. I think YouTube Studio has been around for a while. I think YouTube was trying to take all the broadcast. Well, YouTube does what Google and Microsoft and every other large uh, corporation does, is that, ooh, that looks like something that we could use and all that. Well, we can't buy them out, so we'll turn around and make a version of what they have. So that's what YouTube, because you used to be, you could only upload videos, and then someone figured out how to do live streaming. Yes, actually, I saw the first part of that series. I haven't watched the other three, Anthony, because as I said, I was sort of kind of thinking of, hey, what's another option to have? And options are good, especially like today. It's like if I didn't know about YouTube's YouTube Studio, I would have not had uh, live streaming was going on way before YouTube. Yes, I think if I remember correctly, Twitch was the first one, or one of the first ones, and that's what YouTube was trying to emulate with doing live share present. Remember Justin.tv? I do not remember that, but I would not be surprised. It's a lot of times a massively large company, sees somebody do something. Oh, Twitch was way late in the game. All right. I've only I haven't lived on I haven't lived on Twitch. Actually, the interesting thing is that it's now a new option for Zoom. So technically, oh, okay. I'll probably have to poke my nose into that to find out about that. All right. So we'll throw that over there. Back in 2007. All right. All right. I got it set up ready to ready, set up ready to go for in the window. Yeah, and in the tab in that screen. Uh, yeah, I remember there was 2007. That was wow. I would have to say we've come a long way. I do know there was somebody. This goes way back, but they they were due. They're I think the guy is considered the first digital nomad. He had a custom bicycle built. It was a recumbent. Oh, Justin was rebranded to Twitch. Oh, okay. So there's I'm blanking on the guy's name now, but basically, this shows you how far back this was. I think it was in the 80s, and this guy was I think considered one of the earliest digital nomads, and he had a special bike. There was also Periscope. Okay. But there was, let's see, Yeah, he turned around and he had a bicycle specifically designed. It was a recumbent bicycle. He had it set up so behind him he had all his supplies and all that, the tent and everything that he had and all that. And the way the front was set up is that where there would be your typical windscreen. He actually had a small. He actually had a monitor on it. He had massively large lead acid batteries because, well, that's how they had stuff at that time. I think the TV was a modified. I almost want to say it was a modified camping television set, that ran off of 12 volts. Okay, Wigwag. That explains why you're so knowledgeable in it. Shortwave and ham radio. My pirate shortwave around hunting streams were pretty popular. All right. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, that's one of the things I want to see about doing with this channel is, it's not just the model train hobbies, but other hobbies that I like doing, and electronics is one of them. Yeah, I hang out with one group that I've been hanging out with, which has been a little bit hard to do during the pandemic, is the local branch of the 2600 Club. And 2600 Club is sort of like, I almost want to say like one of the earliest groups of hackers and all that. And they got the name from 2600 that was the frequency on how to trick the phone system into saying that, hey, a long distance call is coming in. So they would make these boxes that they could turn around, go up to a telephone, play the sound and all that, and then be able to make a long distance call, wherever in the system, and it wouldn't be charged to anyone because there would be no. I think they would normally use payphones, and the payphone would be like, and they would turn around and they would scratch their heads, going like, "Wait a minute, this is from a payphone. Why is it?" I don't know. But two of the guys there are into ham radio, or at least two. There's Captain Karanch. Okay. We had he actually has sometimes there's a meeting after the meeting. So somebody says, it's like, hey, we hang out because we would the meetings would be at a coffee shop because it's in the bylaws that they had to be public and not secretive and all that. So that's why we have it in a coffee shop, very well-known coffee shop. But the thing is, they close. They close after a while. They're not 24/7. So it's usually says, "Hey, let's. If you want to continue the conversation, we can go to this this person's house." Haven't gone back yet, but I'm assuming once the pandemic is actually over, not necessarily officially over, because sometimes I guess okay, I remember hearing about that. Yeah, it was the same. It was that whistle, and from what I understand, they also made a tone generator that did the same thing. Gotcha. All right. Yeah, it makes sense. The guy who invented it be nicknamed after the whistle. But from my understanding, that technique does not work anymore because it's all digital now and not All right, I'm seeing that the chat might be out of sync than normal. But I could be wrong because I don't use YouTube Studio that much. Because I normally use Zoom because I'm more familiar with it. But yeah, it's one of those things that I'm going to be eventually seeing about adding electronics to the stream because it's Happy Valley Hobbies, not Happy Valley Railroad. And that is because I wanted to encompass most of my hobbies. There's some hobbies that I haven't been able to do because of the pandemic is dancing. And dancing is one of those things of, since there's a lot of people involved, I don't want to, go through the whole thing of, hey, this is being recorded, want to sign this waiver and all that. So it's like, that's one thing, that's one thing. Hobby. Wow. A massive antenna to get legal clearance for its property to connect everywhere. Well, the interesting thing is, from my understanding, it's not necessarily the size of the antenna that makes it powerful. It's because the what happens, if I'm understanding correctly is that the length of the antenna is actually tuned to the frequency you're broadcasting at. It wasn't until when I was younger, my father had a CV set, and he kept on making the antenna longer to make it so it could reach longer, not realizing that no, you're ruining you're ruining the attenuation of the antenna, which then turns around and now you can't get the frequencies that you want. But that's why a lot of the lower frequencies had larger antennas, like AM stations, because they needed the length of the wave was pretty long. So when it gets shorter and shorter, that's why modern cell phones no longer have external antennas. The older ones, you had to have an external antenna, some pulled out and stuff like that. But this is technically not a modern one. This is my I want to say my last cell phone. Not my current one, but my last one. The battery sort of died on it, and unfortunately, because of the design on it, they made it so you can't replace the battery. This also is not 5G compatible, which was the things that they were pushing for. So it's one of those things of this I had to change because of it was technology, not necessarily the phone itself. I mean, it still works. In fact, I'm charging it now. You can see the little light on there. I am thinking about using this as an extra camera, or an extra webcam and all that, because it does have a decent camera on it. And for those who are looking at it going like, yes, it does have a keyboard. But also, some people might actually recognize the little symbol on it. When I bought this, I want to say less than 2 years ago, because I bought it when after I moved to. I forgot exactly when, but I did buy it. It was after the pandemic, because I was using this is the BlackBerry Key 2. I was using when the pandemic started, I was using a Key 1, and I bought this. So this is my shortest living phone, basically. I think I had this for about maybe a year and a half before I had to replace it, because it was, oh, we're going to go to 5G, and this is not a 5G phone. This is 4LT LTD or whatever the numbers that were after it. And then the battery's starting to go on, and this is completely sealed. You can't, without hurting something, you can't really fix the battery, which I found that was very annoyed about. Oh, hello, Sidetracks. Thank you for coming. Yeah, today, Sidetracks, I am using, instead of using Zoom, I'm using YouTube Studio, because for some odd reason, Zoom doesn't want to connect to YouTube. So, and from what I've not been able to change webcams. So I'm using the one on the laptop, and I can't use the one on the side because I don't have. It says I do not have access. What's it say now? Do not have access to this feature. Now I do not know why I do not have. Yeah, sometimes you have to turn around and make sacrifices on stuff. The interesting thing is, I don't think I ever got to a point where I had to sell stuff. And because the stuff I have usually is oh, okay, that makes sense. Annoying, but it makes sense. Thank you, Anthony. Yeah, it's like, well, I've just hit. Oh, I'm trying to think now. I think I just hit 68 or 69 subs. Yeah, I'm actually in the process of leaning towards actually starting to do pre-recorded content, and then that makes it able. So if I wanted to, I could, instead of going live, I could make it a premiere and go that direction. And plus, not only that, there's times that I want to be able to do stuff, but at this time I'm not able to. It's hard to do it live. It's one of those things of, oh gee, what's the best camera angle, and you don't really want to, it takes up time, and yes, no, I completely agree with your Sidetracks. That's why I normally go with Zoom, but today Zoom didn't want to connect to, for some reason did not want to connect to YouTube. So I turned around and did YouTube Studio, at least I'm on, but I am looking for other streaming services to have options. And it's like I want to say you can never have too many options, but that doesn't quite work at times, because during the last century, I think it was in the 1920s, when you had railroads and all different styles of railroads all over the place and all that, but it wound up being to the. Yeah, it's like a lot of them are not free. But it's one of those things that I want to, try out the free versions just to see, hey, how well does this work? And then go from there, because Zoom is, I want to say it's more geared towards conferences, where you can uh, a lot more interaction and all that. It's not really set up for. I want to say it's not optimized for streaming on YouTube, because I don't think that was the original intent for Zoom. But then uh, then the thing is, I mean, until the pandemic happened, nobody knew what Zoom was. It's like it was very business oriented and all that. And all of a sudden, when the pandemic hit, people who were using Zoom in their business started using Zoom outside of business, and that's how it sort of ballooned and went viral that way. But yeah, I would have to say blame Heath. StreamYard and Streamlab are easy to use, but you can only use one camera. Yeah, it's like it's one of those things of before going live. I mean, this is the advice that was given to me. It's just start. Take all you have, do your best, make all your mistakes. I wound up. I think I wound up starting this. I think the end of January. See, the end of no, I forgot exactly when I started, but oh, that's interesting. Multiple emails, you can send the stream code and add cameras that way. Yes, that's one way of doing it. But it's one of those things you also have to find out what's good for you. And sometimes there's a lot of times that you don't know what's going to work until you actually go live and make the mistakes. When I was on one habit that I had when I was on New Tracks is that an hour before the show started, I would turn around, go live, making sure everything was working properly. And then, everything was working, not necessarily properly, but working. And actually go live for about 30 seconds, just make sure, okay, this is working, this is working, this is working. And then I would turn off, which had the unintended advantage of, YouTube would say, hey, they're live now. And then, they would send emails out and notifications saying that they were live. So it wound up being like an alarm clock of going like, hey, they just went live. And then, of course, basically, then I would turn around and remove that. I would have like the word test or something like that, and I would then remove the live stream because it was a test. It was just making sure that the equipment was working. Speaking of New Tracks, I was on there last night for their what they call my builds, which are set up to show off what you're doing, or hey, if you have any questions on how to do X, Y, and Z, and etc. I try to send emails of all three dioramas, but for some reason the last two emails just didn't go through, didn't want to go through. So I finally said, all right, whatever. I'll just do the presentation on the two of them. And all right. Well, I thank you very Wigwag for wandering in. I'm assuming Anthony is in the process of probably getting his set up for his live stream that's coming up right after mine. So Anthony has a tendency to leave beforehand, but maybe I got the scheduling a little bit too close. But it's one of those things of That's why there's replays. You are already set up. Well, cool. I thought I was until I'm hitting the click button, saying go live. I'm like, I clicked it. Nothing, normally once you click the button, the screen goes blank and then says, it's now connecting to YouTube and all this and everything, and it wasn't doing that. So I got confused. I tried closing down the stream. I closed down Zoom, rebooted it, and all that. Nothing still worked. So since it was on a web page, I'm assuming there was something wrong with their server. But well, thank you, Anthony. I'm sort of kind of sad that I wasn't able to do that this week because of the not having access to change the webcam. There's also something about the stream that I also don't have access to. And manage doesn't even come up with anything. So yeah, I'm not quite sure how long you've been doing this, Anthony, but you seem to have a lot more knowledge and experience than I do. Thing is, the way my perfect setup would be sort of like what they I'm trying to think what it's called. I think it's called the three camera setup. Or at least that's how many, that's approximately how many cameras I have. I got two webcams that one I have pointed down. It's the overhead shot that I have for doing the live streams. I have then I have this one, the main one here, which is on the laptop. And then, okay, all right. June 2020, I've been, I started this journey because of Humanity Junction. Actually, I should probably buy one of his Blame Heath t-shirts, because, well, he's sort of the reason why I got doing this, because he's like, oh, start a YouTube channel. Like, at the time I was employed, it made perfect sense. Well, hello there, Rick. How is the False Bailey Railroad doing? You are not seeing my normal overhead shot of my workbench because Zoom is not playing nicely today. So I went to YouTube Studio, and since I only have less than 500 subs and all that, I only have access to one camera. So that's why you don't see me the overhead camera at this point. But actually, I don't even know what microphone I'm using. I think I have it set up for my it won't let me mute it, but not necessarily see what microphone I'm on. Well, I could do something silly, but nah. But yeah, it's one of those. I did, as I've been saying, I have been sort of poking my nose in other operation or other broadcasting software, because Zoom is not necessarily set up as to be broadcasting software. It's more of a I'm blanking out on it, but wait, Anthony Dodge Scott's Rick's mug. How does meeting venue? Yes, thank you, Sidetracks. Uh, so you're saying, Anthony, that right now Rick doesn't have a face? But yeah, it's one of those things. There are plans. Prism is like ABS, but more user friendly. All right. So we'll hit that. Of course, since they're using a managing risk. Insights of map technology. All-in-one horse racing management. Yeah, there's a lot of different prisms that are out there. Let's see, adding OBS to it. All right, Prism Live. All right. Yeah, it's one of those things that it sounded like yes, Prism Live. Yeah, I found it. I put in OBS on it, and it came up with Prism Live Studio. So I will, I got that tabbed in as well as ABS Streamlabs, StreamYard. That's in the browser tabs over there, chats over here, and then YouTube Studio is right here. So, but yeah, it's one of those things is that I guess not having it. There's advantages and disadvantages. I think I used Studio once before, early on my live streaming journey. Maybe because I wasn't able. There was something wrong with Zoom. Zoom wasn't working at the time either, so that's why I wound up doing it YouTube, the Studio at that time. But having options are good because if something doesn't work, you should be able to get something different. That's one of the advantages of having multiple options on how to do things. Like for myself, I mean, I only have one car, but there's also a bus stop that's within maybe a 16th of a mile away where I can get that, and they drop the bus route actually drops me right off at the employee entrance at work. So it's one of those things of, I mean, the timing's not the greatest because I have a 10-hour shift and the bus only goes there for an 8-hour shift. So I do wind up losing a 2 hours, but it is an option that, hey, I am here. I did my best, to get here on time or at work. And that's, they view that at work as a good thing. And they're also very understanding. It's a small company, so they're a little bit more. It's more of a family atmosphere than a business. More of a very large corporation. It's like if you're not, when I worked at the very large manufacturer that got me into Vermont, you were 1 minute late. That was put against you. It's like you didn't matter what the excuse was. It could have been an emergency, and then it's like, don't have too many of those. It's like you have to be here. Whereas my current job, it's sort of like, be here and work. But if something comes up, you have to make changes. Use the bus instead of having your own vehicle. they're flexible that way. Oddly, right now they have yes, a corporate does not have gray areas. It's black, white. Whereas I'm not quite sure how many employees they have, but I think that you might be able to get all the employees on a bus, or at least 2 buses. That's the amount of people that the whole company is. It's not a very large company. But no company is perfect and all that. They do have issues on communication, stuff like that, where you just go like they just recently had it was supposed to have been a company-wide meeting, but then the owner decided instead of having a company-wide meeting, he would go to the individual areas and have a private conversation with everybody. Thing is, he never got to my location, which is on the opposite end of, I'm in shipping and receiving. It's like there's no one, we don't really interact with people unless we're giving them stuff. So there's not there wasn't a meeting directly on it. And it was, sometimes there's an assumption that, if, you tell one person, the whole company knows. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. So a lot of the information I had to find out was basically word of mouth, which is not necessarily the best, because you got the thing of playing telephone, and eventually things just wind up going astray. But yeah, I'm assuming since I only have one webcam, I also assume that there's unlike Zoom, I want to bet YouTube Studio does not have the ability to add people, because I don't even see a button along those lines. But oh well, yeah, I think the reason why nobody knows about YouTube Studio that much is because, as I said earlier, they said, "Ooh, we want to be able to do what other live streaming services are doing. So here's a way to do live streaming without bypassing everybody else and all that." But it does not seem to have a lot of no visitor with studio. All right, thanks, Rick. So yeah, it's I almost want to say it feels like I'm going from a car that's fully automatic to a standard, like and doesn't have the trickle down communications. That's funny. I got to remember that one for work, because sometimes that's what happens with the company, and it's a family company. The second generation is running it at this point. The original area, that plant that they were at, they actually had three separate buildings, and there were smaller buildings. But the thing is that they were constantly bringing. I think they had one person that their job was just to be doing logistics between 3 buildings. It's like they would go to one building, pick up all everything they needed, drop off everything they needed, drive to the next building, do the same thing over again, and basically for the whole 8-hour day, just going between 3 buildings. All right, Anthony, thank you for coming. I'm thinking I might it's one of the things I want to say. I want to be on your stream and all that, but there's a good chance that do have to run our other errands and all that fun stuff. So I may or may not be there, but hopefully your stuff is working a lot better than mine is, and we can go from there. But yeah, this has been more of a talking head live stream today because of the Zoom issues. But maybe I'll poke in, see about the other broadcasting software and see which one to go with that way, and then see how to basically see how to go through that and figure out a different another option of if Zoom is not working. Plus, I'm also Zoom. I paid for a whole year, doing it for a whole year, and now I got less than 3 months to make a decision on do I want to stay with Zoom or go with something different. So now's a good time to go that direction. And well, since we are definitely towards the end, another thing is with Zoom, it takes a while to start and it takes a while to end. I'm assuming with YouTube Studio, it's going to be like that. So, but it's one of those things of I'm here to show off my passions, and I think the world needs more love. So find your passion. Add some silliness to it and show it off to the world. And we will say goodbye. See everyone later.